only place for everything Vikings. 6, 1, 2, Vikings.
Welcome back to 612 Vikings. I'm your host, Dustin, alongside Drew, as always. Today, we got a little bit of Vikings news from Drew here, and then a week from today, we actually have the NFL schedule being released. So make sure you guys tune in next week as well for when the schedule does release. We'll be talking about that. But Drew, how are we doing tonight? We got the Minnesota Timberwolves on. I know you're not a Timberwolves fan. I'm not a Timberwolves fan, but a good game on tonight for Timberwolves and Warriors.
Yeah, it's kind of like I have a soft spot, I guess, for him just because of the being a Vikings fan and whatnot. So
right.
My team's just kind of middling, so they're just kind of average, middle of the pack. So it's kind of nice to have a team, I guess you can kind of have a rooting for because of that. So it's kind of fun to see what the Timberwolves can do, and hopefully it's the start of breaking that Minnesota curse, and maybe that kind of dabbles over to the football side of things if they find a way to win it.
Hopefully. Yeah, it's if they can get a championship, I think that will be a good slingshot for other Minnesota sports to kind of set that standard, I guess. To you're a good team, you can get over that hump, prove it, and then I kind of hope it's the Vikings that do it first, but Timberwolves, if they can start that trend, awesome. Then the Vikings can win a couple Super Bowls after that. But Drew, let's get into some Vikings-related news here. What do you got for us for tonight?
Yeah, so we got some upcoming rookie mini camp. So there has been some talk that J.J. McCarthy could be participating and throwing in that because given that he was out for the season for majority of his rookie year, and if they're going to talk with the NFL, so see if he could maybe get some throws in with a lot of UDFA wide receivers that we signed. So I think this could be a very interesting development you might see, especially with him getting those extra reps too that an average quarterback doesn't really get. So hopefully he can get them in. But Dustin, what do you kind of think about that?
Yeah, so I saw that article too, and I think I saw that the reason why he can do that is because he didn't play an NFL snap this past year. So he gets to throw to, some rookies and stuff too at rookie minicamp. I think that's only, a couple days to a week. And then mandatory minicamp for the whole team is, I think, a week after that. So it should be interesting. JJ will be back with his, emphasize his team in just a couple weeks here. So that'll be fun to watch, J.J. McCarthy throw to Jay Jettas finally for the first time, consistently, I should say. But then, we get to training camp in end of July. So lots of Vikings stuff kind of ramping up slowly but surely. First got to get to minicamp. But who are some wide receivers to kind of keep an eye on? Or not just wide receivers, but maybe some UDFAs to kind of keep an eye on through minicamp and probably training camp?
So I think some names to keep an eye out for. I think the big one, we were talking about it before the show, is Silas Bolden. We really don't have a lot of punt returners in the room. And if you don't know who Silas Bolden is, just pop on the Arizona State-Texas game. You're going to really find a liking to him. So, the only other guy that could maybe compete with him would be Jalen Naylor, but I don't really know if he'll have that spot on lock just because I think Bolden is a little bit more electric. He's cheaper. And plus, if you want to keep Naylor around as a wide receiver 3, I don't think you want him catching punts, giving him those extra hits. So I think Silas Bolden has the easiest path to the 53-man roster out of the UDFAs. And then obviously you got some other ones like Logan Brown, Joe Huber, maybe if they want to cut Blake Brandel loose. So I think there's a lot of UDFA paths to making the 53-man rosters. I think the big thing is how well they perform in preseason. And if guys like Logan Brown and Joe Huber and Silas Bolden all perform, I think they have an easy path to the 53.
I think this year, granted that we have, a pretty good roster already, I think there's a couple spots that some of these UDFAs can make the 53-man roster if they play well in preseason and in training camp. Guys like a Joe Huber or Silas Bolden, some guys that can take some roster spots from guys that are already on the team. So, you're probably going to carry 6, 7, 8 offensive linemen. So, Joe Huber's probably going to have a strong case to make that. Wide receiver, we have a pretty top-heavy room, I would say. You got Jefferson and Addison, and then wide receiver 3 is a battle, and then 4 is whatever it is, whoever doesn't win the wide receiver 3 battle. But and then you got punt returner that can go through, kick returner. Running back I feel like is kind of weak too. That's kind of like a top heavy depth chart as well. I think Ty Chandler was part of kick returns last year, so I don't know. We got to find a new kick returner as well. We had Kenny Nwangu a couple years ago, Ty Chandler, I think, last year. We're going to have to replace that position as well. But Isaiah Rodgers could be a position to watch for, a top cornerback spot, obviously, and then some sort of returner job, whether that's punt or kick return. But, a lot of different positions to watch. Quarterback really isn't a position to watch anymore. You got Howell and J.J. McCarthy, but this is J.J. McCarthy's team. Running back is pretty much set. Wide receiver is pretty much set. Outside of wide receiver 3, tight ends pretty much set. Offensive line is set. So, pretty set roster, if you ask me.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if there's. I think the only position group I look at and I say, yeah, this is going to be a spot where somebody could take over is probably that wide receiver 3 spot. I don't know if left guard, if you want to count that Donovan Jackson, Blake Brandel battle, I think could be one. But it sounds like it's going to be Donovan Jackson's job to lose. And I know you mentioned Isaiah Rodgers earlier. I mean, that could be maybe something, but I think they have a lot of confidence in him. I just kind of wonder who would start over who. I mean, maybe it's not necessarily Isaiah Rodgers that gets the bump. Maybe it's Mekhi Blackmon that gets the bump because he's coming off that ACL tear. Maybe they look at a McLovin, or maybe they look at, if Jeff Okudah finally figures out the NFL, you could maybe plug and play him at corner too. So, and like I said, I don't know if every position's so weird because you get some positions where it's very top heavy, like you mentioned, like the receiver and running back room, but then you get corner where it's not really. I mean, you have Byron Murphy. I would say he's getting paid like he's the guy, but I don't know if he's a game changing corner like a Surtain or a Sauce Gardner to that level. But you look at the depth behind him. It's a lot of guys who are pretty close to skill with everyone else. I think the biggest question mark just is Mekhi Blackmon because he had the rookie season. Corners tend to take a little bit longer than the ACL tear in year 2. So I think that's a name to kind of watch for too on the defensive side.
Yeah, I was kind of telling you this off air as well that there's not many starting positions to really watch for. It's all depth guys, and there's a lot of exciting depth guys, especially on the defense. You got Eric Wilson competing for a roster spot. You got a couple other linebackers in there as well. The corner rotation, that's going to be fun to watch. Theo Jackson, he's always made a splash in training camp the past couple of years, so it's fun to see him kind of have that starting role because Cam Bynum was your starter. And then the safeties behind Harrison Smith and Theo Jackson, because Harrison Smith, this is, I'm going to say 95 to 99 to 100% his last year in the NFL. So we're going to have to see the safeties behind him. Theo Jackson, if he pans out, all the safeties behind him. So maybe punter's a question mark too. I mean, Ryan Wright's probably going to be your guy, as we talked off air on that about that too. But there's not many other punters to really be looking at. I mean, if we didn't have a kicker, maybe you'd look at like Justin Tucker, but I don't think anybody really wants him right now.
No, I think Justin Tucker's the guy that's blackballed, and plus Will Reichard, he's. I've said it for a while. He if you want to say a generational kicking prospect, that's what Will Reichard was coming out of college. He's the all-time NCAA points leader in points scored. So that's a guy that you gotta keep in the NFL. And he started off so hot, had the injury, kind of was middling and kind of going through his rookie slump. So and that tends to happen with rookie kickers. They find ways. I mean, if you look at Justin Tucker, he wasn't a guy that was hitting, 98% field goal percentage his rookie season. He was a guy that was just kind of your middle average kicker, which is what he is right now. So I think the ceiling is there. I think he's going to have plenty of room to grow, and I'm excited to watch him play. But I know you mentioned punter as well, and this also came to my mind. I don't know if Ryan Wright's job is really at a question mark now that I think about it, because I believe he got a 1-year extension, or a couple years extension too. So I don't know if that's going to be one where he's going to have his job be. I mean, unless he just totally just blows it, then maybe. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think everything's really kind of set. It's mostly just the depth guys that are just battling this out.
Yeah, right. And I don't know, like I said before, it's going to be fun to watch. But other than that, I don't know if there's really news for the Vikings, especially this time of year. But, jersey numbers, they come out. I don't think there's anything really outstanding with jersey numbers right now. There's no obscure numbers, like I don't know. No corners are wearing really weird numbers. No quarterbacks are wearing weird numbers. So, yeah, I mean that's all that I have for right now. Drew, do you have anything else that you want to talk about for the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, no, I think just the only thing is just I think a lot of people in the Vikings locker and the Vikings brass is just kind of looking forward to upcoming rookie training camp, which I believe is this weekend. So it looks like McCarthy would throw. So if you are a guy for who's looking for guy or gal that's looking for a potential JJ McCarthy edit clips, that would be your just keep an eye out for that, because if you're looking for some clips there, you might be able to find something. And I know TJ Hawkinson already voiced he's pretty excited to start catching balls from JJ as well, who compared him to Matthew Stafford. So that's a very, very talented quarterback who was the number 1 overall pick the year the Lions went 0-16, one of my favorite years for sure. But it is something that would be hopefully he hits that mark. So if we get Matthew Stafford 2.0 and JJ McCarthy, I definitely would take that. So yeah, I think we're just all looking forward to I think the next big one is the schedule release, and just kind of having fun with the predictions and playing around with that.
Yeah, once the schedule does come out on May 14th, which is a week from now, a week and a day from now. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We'll probably be going live for that episode as well, just kind of getting our official reactions. I'll be at work all day, so I'm not going to look at any leaks or anything like that. I want to look at it as we record and kind of get our reactions that way. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, this is kind of like that slower time in the NFL between the draft and minicamp and training camp and all that, because there's really, you got your trades out of the way, you got your free agents out of the way. There's not too many big free agents left right now to be signed. But other than that, kind of your check down episode for tonight. Not as long as we would like, but like I said, there's just not much Vikings news right now. But yeah, make sure you guys stay tuned for this upcoming week. We might have an episode or two before the schedule release, but like I said, just kind of stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Skol Vikes.